Electric cars and not weapons or sanctions may just be the answer to avoiding the history repeating itself once again in the future, as it is playing out now with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Forbes contributor Tom Malogny will be here to help me explain. Plus, in other electric car news, Elon Musk and his brother are targets of the SEC. ID Buzz is finally coming. BZ4X and EV6 customers will get some freebies, and both Fisker and Faraday Future are edging closer to production. All of this is coming up next. Welcome to E4 Electric. Don't forget to click on that subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. Before we get to our top story, which is unsurprisingly tied to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and I know I never discuss politics on this channel, but today I feel strongly to say that as a Russian-born American citizen, I 100% stand with people of Ukraine and am disgusted, for the lack of a better word if there is one, by actions of Russia, the country that I have left and never came back for almost 30 years. So let's talk about how what's happening in Ukraine is very much affecting our little world of electric cars, because it does and definitely will in months and most likely years to come. You have probably already heard many explanations of why this is happening, and of course the only way how we learn about the rest of the world and geography around here is when we turn on TV to find out why our gas prices are going up. I mean, can you point to Ukraine on this map? And if you can, well, then you are definitely an American. And once again, focused on the wrong part of the world. But even if you do have an American public school education like myself, it is not that hard to figure out that once again, the common theme of yet another war is oil. And lots of oil makes its way to the world through Ukraine. And Europe is hesitant to punish Russia too harshly because it is dependent on Russia for about a third of its oil. And a lot of you probably don't know this about me because I haven't really shared this much, but when I bought my very first electric car almost a decade ago, I didn't do it because of the environment. I mean, I do like the environment. I enjoy breathing a lot. As a matter of fact, it's one of my most favorite hobbies. Unless, of course, I'm at a Las Vegas casino. But the real reason I thought it was worth taking a risk on buying a car based on a very new and unknown technology from a tiny company on the verge of bankruptcy was because I thought electric cars was the way to stop fighting so many wars that are mainly over oil. As a matter of fact, I always thought it was embarrassing for us, the human race at this point of our civilization, to be able to do so many amazing things like to split atoms or fly to the moon or to make boobs bigger and butts, well, also bigger, but yet still to power our horseless carriages by digging up this black goo from the ground, mainly under the people who hate us, and blow it up 1,000 times under the hood while poisoning ourselves from the other end. So as a result of what's happening now, the gas prices have already gone up, and it is reasonable to expect that not only they will hit the all-time high, but may stay there for a while. And many people who have already struggled financially through COVID may not just be able to add another $100 or more to their monthly gas bill. But this time, things are different, and maybe, just maybe, this horrible event that's unfolding right now will trigger something that will prevent the same thing happening in the future. I will tell you all about it in just 1 second, but before that, a quick reminder that this video is brought to you by Driven. Finally, there's a company that's taking the training of Tesla drivers seriously. If you're shopping for a Tesla or currently own one, sign up for a private Driven course and let a certified advisor meet with you and provide a personal experience. You will discover features and driving methods you never knew existed. This month, Driven is offering 20% off Get yours using the link in the description of this video. So here's the thing, unlike the last time when we had a huge spike in gas prices, now there is an alternative. And not just an expensive Tesla anymore. Plenty of good, affordable electric car choices are coming on the market now. And I bet most people know someone who already drives one. And as pretty much all of us who drive electric cars can't stop raving about it. And besides us, the consumers, people who should be even more interested in expediting the electric car revolution is our leaders in government. The less they have their hands tied by oil, the more power they have over what they can do for their respective people. So come on, US, Europe, and the rest of the world, what will it take for me to put you in a nice caddy right now? But we can still screw this up, because even though the electric cars will get us the oil independence, it can still make us dependent on the very same countries like Russia and China for other EV components. For example, Russia is the world's third largest supplier of nickel used in lithium-ion batteries, and it provides 40% of the palladium used in catalytic converters. So let's not kick our cocaine habit by getting on heroin. We still have to see the same guy with a face tattoo behind the liquor store to get the other one. For more, we turn to the host of the State of Charge YouTube channel and still my friend despite me still being Russian, Tom Moloughney. All right, Tom, so it looks like both of us, and I didn't realize that until we talked about it a minute ago, got into electric cars, not necessarily for the environment, but essentially to avoid what's happening right now.
Yeah, I've talked about this openly on many different shows and podcasts and so forth and on my blogs. When I originally got involved with electric vehicles, 15 years ago or so, my main driving point was to reduce my personal dependence on foreign oil. And, the environmental stuff really came later once I started learning more about the impacts. And, it really, the driving force was oil independence. And, yeah, we're seeing that really play out in the world stage today.
Once again. All right, well, as fortunate as it is, obviously, in such a grander scale, but in our small world of electric cars, could it be that this is the perfect storm for those people who just can't add another $100 or $200 to their monthly bill to pay for the same gas they were buying a few months ago? They might actually finally decide to look at the alternative they didn't have last time this happened.
So, unfortunately, Alex, I think it's been proven that we have a very short memory. If gas prices spike, yes, people will look at electric cars. They'll be very interested in electric cars. Electric car sales will spike. But I tell you what, if in a year from now, they drop way back down to, $2 a gallon or whatever, you're going to start seeing all the gas SUVs and Escalades and Tahoes and Ford Explorers. They'll all be top selling items. Again, we tend to really only look at current prices and not think about what's going to come down the road. But if we do see a tremendous spike in oil prices, I think that it will inspire some people now to look at alternative fuel vehicles.
Now, what about governments? I mean, they have a bit of a longer memory. And what about the governments that will hopefully, including ours, take the electric cars more seriously, because it will give them a sort of more leverage and sort of power and flexibility when something like this does come up, but hopefully to actually avoid something like this?
Well, the Biden administration, since taking over, has really been a strong proponent of electric vehicle adoption. I don't think even a spike in oil prices would make it any more than what they've already done and are trying to do. All governments and countries would like to be energy independent, but currently it's very difficult to do that solely on renewables. And, we're seeing a lot of investment in that, and it's getting better as renewables are getting better and better in the higher percentage. But, currently oil and natural gas, and, Russia provides Europe with a large percentage of their natural gas. So they're kind of beholden to them for natural gas. I mean, the politics go, very deep in this, and it's very complicated. It's not as easy as just saying, well, they're doing a bad thing now, so we're not going to buy their oil or their natural gas or their natural resources. It's I wish it were that easy, but unfortunately it's not.
All right, but even if we do become oil independent and Europe becomes oil independent and we are 100% green energy, could it still be a moot point because there's still a lot of components in the electric cars, including, nickel. Russia is like the third largest provider in the world, that will still make us dependent on the other countries like Russia and China to make these cars that made us independent from oil.
Yeah, at least in the short term, for sure, Alex, there are other places where we can source these materials. We're doing it from the places we are now because it's the easiest and least expensive. But they're not the only places in the world to get these materials. It might end up costing a little bit more, but it might be better in the long run, not being tied to, governments that are hostile like this and want to, hold it over your head whenever they want something. I mean, you look at what's going on now with Russia, between Germany, with the natural gas pipeline. I'm sure Germany isn't happy to be in this position right now, and maybe it's going to make people think twice about trying to use alternatives and source, resources elsewhere.
If you want to source your electric car content resources elsewhere, don't forget to subscribe to Tom's channel. I put a link to it in the description of this video. Before we get to our next story, let's check out the grumpy comment of the week. And this time it comes from Polly B, who says, Alex, you've been here for 30 years and you still have that Italian accent. Couple of weeks ago, I would say, Polly, how dare you? This is a Russian accent. I live with it, you live with it. But this week I would have to say, grazie, Polly, for your comment. I will see what I can do about my accent. До свидания. I mean, ciao. Elon Musk is once again a target of SEC investigation. It is either a response to Elon's accusation that the agency is harassing him, or I got nothing. The focus here is on Elon's brother, who sold over $100 million worth of shares a day before Elon posted a Twitter poll suggesting he'll sell 10% of his Tesla stock, which essentially may be considered insider trading. Now, of course, it is much harder to run a car company out of prison, but on the brighter side, he'll probably make a new friend in Snoop Dogg. Bonding secured. Grow your beards and your leg hair. The Volkswagen ID Buzz is coming. What has started as a cool concept that was never supposed to be made, this iconic minibus will become a reality in its modern all-electric form on March 9th, as it will premiere virtually and then will make its first North American public appearance 2 days later on March 11th at the South by Southwest Festival in Austin, where I'll be checking it out in person. Deliveries are due in September in Europe and next year in the United States. It will have the plug-in charge capabilities, the bi-directional charging to power your Love Shack, and the California Camper Van Edition. The YouTube channel CarWow recorded a 0 to 60 launch in just under 10 seconds, which I have to say is a bit slow even for someone like myself who never cared about beating out Ferraris off of the red light, but always cared about beating out scooters and fast walkers. Now, if you remember, Volkswagen has tried cashing in on nostalgia back in 2012 with an updated Beetle, but never reached more than 6.5% of Volkswagen's total US sales and was discontinued a few years later. And I do hope that the ID Buzz will do better, and here's the CEO of Volkswagen Group of America, Scott Keogh, who believes that it will be different this time.
It's going to do amazing. There's no car, I've been in the automotive business now for nearly 24 years, wow, scary, and there's no car from everything and all the other brands I've been with that gets this kind of reaction. Dealers calling every day, customers send them email every day, and it's not only just like, when can I get one? They've all got phenomenal stories. I live in Woodstock and want to do this. I did that and want to do this. I have this. And it's just like these beautiful stories.
Meanwhile, the 2022 ID4 is getting a slight increase in range over last year's model, with the rear-wheel drive version getting the biggest boost of an extra 20 miles with a new 280-mile EPA rating. Toyota's very first EV, bZ4X, which could very well be the name of the next COVID variant, is coming this year in just a few months, and now Toyota has announced a free charging deal for its customers, which, much like the crossover itself, well, better than nothing, but nothing to brag about. bZ4X will get 1 year of free EV charging from EVgo, a fast charging network with almost 900 locations in the United States, but pretty much almost all of them with the maximum charging speed at no more than 50 kilowatts. Also this week, Kia has decided to challenge that Toyota deal with even more underwhelming one, with its all-electric EV6 customers getting 1,000 kilowatt hours of free charging at Electrify America. Obviously, no everyday customer knows what that even means. Even I had to look it up and do some math. And the unfortunate thing is that 1,000 kilowatt hours actually translates into anywhere from 3 to 4,000 miles of driving, which is actually not that bad. That's enough miles for me to drive all the way to Kia's headquarters to try all the drugs that their marketing team is obviously on. A couple of electric car startups have reached a big milestone this week. Fisker has unveiled 50 very first prototypes of the Ocean EV at the Magna factory in Austria. They have also revealed that their second EV, Pear, has already received 1,500 reservations, despite the fact that not a single full image of the vehicle has been unveiled. And Faraday Future showed off its very first production intent, FF91, and it looks like they are on pace for the production to start in Q3 of this year. Don't forget to tune in for our weekly live subscriber hangout at 1 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesday. You can set a reminder on the homepage of this channel. Looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.